Welcome back into the mental game, where this week's guest is Clockwork DJ.
Sometimes it's even hard for me to listen to his music for real, to be completely honest. I couldn't listen to his music actually for a while after he passed away.
And in this episode, Clockwork opens up about his music career, when he started DJing, and also the backstory of becoming Mac Miller's official DJ. We talk all about that, what it was like to tour the world and be on the biggest stage in music, but also the tragedy of losing Mac, his mental health, and how Clockwork has moved on since in his career. All of that and much, much more coming up in this episode. But once again, if you're loving the mental game, please like, subscribe, rate, review, tell your family, tell your friends, as we try to help as many people as possible with their mental health. But now it is time for the latest episode here on the mental game with Clockwork. Welcome back into the mental game. As you can tell, I got a very special guest next to me, Clockwork DJ here in New York City. Appreciate you having me out here.
You already know, man. What's goody?
Trying to stay awake, trying to grind.
What's the science? What's the science?
Cool. It's been a week of New York podcast shoots, so it's been a lot. By the way, Clock, is that what you like to go by?
Yeah, you can call me Clock.
All right, cool. And we got the Cincinnati connection, run deep with self-diploma. Shout out Sean, Eddie, Yates, all that, man.
The whole squad.
That was like what? 15 years ago?
Yeah,
Self-diploma
man.
started?
2009, 2000, even before that, maybe like 2008. Shit.
We'll get into it in this. But I was handing out flyers when I was 17 with a fake ID with your face on it when you were DJing around Cincinnati. So
it's pretty crazy.
It's wild how the world works. First thing I ask everyone on this clock is, what does mental health mean to you? And people can answer it in different ways, whether it's something, they knew about at a young age and knew how to take care of, or maybe, shit happened throughout their life where they had to work on their mental health more. But I ask you the same thing. What does mental health mean to you?
I'm still learning every day and figuring things out. But for me, mental health is really just being able to be okay with yourself, being able to reflect on the past and shit, maybe even the future. You know what I mean? Some people can't do that, but if you're able to reflect and be okay with that, and to pull the positive things out of your reflection periods, and you're just sane. You know what I mean? You're happy to be alive. I think that's really mental health. A lot of people, they deal with a lot of different things to where they might not be happy to be alive. But I think that really is where it starts, because, for example, if I get depressed or, I get sad about a situation, this might even sound kind of corny, but what makes me happy and makes me excited is really the next day. Looking forward to the next day, knowing that, you know what I mean?
You get a fresh start.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm in my bed. I'm like, yo, you know what? Today was kind of whack, but I'm about to go to sleep. And then tomorrow is going to be a brand new day. That really excites me. And I think that when you have that type of mindset, or, you got something coming up in a week, right? Or you have, even if it's like a dentist appointment, something just, that's different than the norm, and you find some type of excitement in it. I think that that's really mental health, and a good mental health.
And that's the big key, is figuring out what's best for you. We're gonna go through your entire life, career on this episode, but it's jam-packed, man. From Cincinnati, just like me. I know you love music from the beginning. Very successful DJ out of the 513. You linked up with Mac Miller early in his career, and you guys toured the world. And you've also done
three times. I think we either 2 or 3 times we went around the USA in a Sprinter van.
That's crazy.
Before we got the tour bus.
Yeah.
I think we did a Sprinter van.
I saw
twice. I want to say twice, but it could be more.
Well, we'll get into all that here in a sec. I know why you're talking about the touring, though. I saw y'all in I know in Cincinnati a couple times, like at Bogarts, but then also I was studying abroad in 2012.
Shout out to Bogarts.
Dude, Bogarts is my favorite venue.
Yo, truth.
That venue is so
True.
dope. I just did an interview with Bryce Vine there for the pod,
nice.
so
Nice.
I love that place. But
Good people.
Yeah, good people. In 2012, I saw y'all in Munich, Germany.
Oh wow!
'Cause I was doing a study abroad, and
Wow.
I was like, we were a bunch of UC kids. They were like, yeah, we're gonna go see, Mac and Clock. Like, duh, that's so. This crazy.
Yo,
Look
that's
back. That was
wild.
That's
Wow.
10 years. I got a photo somewhere deep on my phone. I'll show you after this episode. But
Yeah, you're gonna have to show the people because that's crazy. That probably was our second tour. The first time we went over there, I couldn't get over there because of other reasons. But the second time I went, so that's really cool.
yeah,
Like,
it's
super
crazy
dope.
stories like that. But let's tell your story, man. I mean, you grew up in Cincinnati, went to the School for Creative and Performing Arts, which
Yes,
is
sir.
one of the best in the country for people that are great at what they do, whether it's music, theater, dance. It is the place to be. When did you know that music was going to be a big part of your life?
I was always surrounded by music. I knew in some capacity I was going to do something with music.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was going to be a rapper, producer, singer. I didn't know, but I was in love with music. My mother would put headphones on my father would put headphones on my mother's belly when I was like pregnant and like
Wow.
play music. And so I think I was just, it was in me when I was born.
Yeah.
And, and then just growing up in a household where my parents played everything from average white bands to like Foreigner to like Bob Marley and Patricia Russian and it was just a slew. Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
It was just
a little
like,
sample platter.
yeah, like AC/DC. It was like rock and roll. It was like rock and roll, soft rock, reggae, and like hip hop. It was and like soul music. So
Yeah.
it was a wild mixture of music, and I was just surrounded by that the whole time. And so I guess I knew what I wanted to do in music when I was a teenager, as a kid, watching Baby Got Back, Sir Mix-a-Lot. Shout out to Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Let's
Seattle.
go.
But I saw Baby Got Back, and I was influenced. There was a DJ in that video, and he was like DJing on this like mountain of butt cheeks, and and I don't know. Look, to this day I couldn't tell you what drove me to that. Like,
Sounds like a mountain of butt cheeks.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I just saw this guy up there. I'm like, yo, what is he doing? Like, that look crazy. So, I know I wanted to do that. I wanted to mix music. I wanted to play music for crowds.
Right.
And I was like, that's the way to do it. I didn't even know what a DJ was, but I like knew that I wanted to play music and like be a maestro. So that was my true calling.
Do you remember the first time you
It was the first time I saw, I guess, what I wanted to do.
Right. Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Did you do you remember the first time that you got tables?
Actually, I do. I used to work at amusement park Kings Island in Cincinnati.
KI.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Kings Island. And there was I worked at two spots. There was like this chicken finger spot, and then there was this Dippin' Dot stand. I later had moved to the Dippin' Dot stand because they were like paying a little bit more money, and I saved up about $600. Bought my first set of turntables. They were like Gemini Technique, not Technique Gemini. That's two different brands. They were Gemini turntables. They were like these belt drive turntables. I didn't even know the difference between belt drive and direct drive.
Yeah.
So I bought a belt drive turntables, and the belt drive, they have like a little belt. It's kind of a beginner turntable. They have a belt underneath the platter, and when you scratch or spin, it like automatically snaps back.
Yeah.
Where the direct drive is you have to actually move it yourself. You scratch, it doesn't snap back. It kind of.
I just know the first one you said is what I would like drunk sneak my way into the DJ booth in downtown Cincinnati or wherever I was at, and like I feel it kick back. I'm like, all right, I know what that is.
Now somebody probably had like a beginner turntable or something.
Well, I was a beginner too, so
word. So the DJ there probably was too, or maybe they didn't know because I didn't even know. It took me years to finally figure out that I was like using a kind of a quote unquote beginner turntable in the DJ world.
Right.
You know, it's kind of, oh, you got a belt drive turntable, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I saved up my money and bought my first set of turntables from Kings Island, and when I bought them, they sat up in the attic for like a year before I even touched them. I just bought them and just went on. I was a kid. I was just and yeah.
What were you, like 16?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably around that age. Yeah.
That's so cool that like you remember like that story of you know, it's one thing to have a passion about something, then to save up what is still a pretty, to this day, a pretty good amount of money.
Good money, right?
But at 16 years old, working your ass off, summer job, serving out Dippin' Dots and chicken fingers, man, that shit pays off. Saying? That's cool. That's really cool. Do you remember when you started, like, actually? Yeah, they were sitting in the attic. The tables were.
Yep.
Remember when you got them out and started spinning for the first time?
Absolutely. I went up there and like a true Aries, I thought I knew what I was doing. So they had a whole like VHS kind of like manual thing that you could like watch to learn how to hook the turntables up. Didn't do that.
Of course
didn't read the manual. I don't need that. Didn't read the manual. Like threw that out. So now I'm just sitting there with like wires and like a little mixer, and so it probably took me maybe a full week. To learn how to hook them up myself, where I could have probably learned it that day, or maybe like in a day or two, or in a few hours.
Yeah.
But it took me a week, so I hooked them up myself. I had to figure out how to take the rubber from under the butter rug or DJ mat. There's like a thick piece of rubber that comes, and it's also kind of the beginner training wheels, if you will, for the turntables. So I was using that for like a whole month or two before I figured out, I can't remember if I figured out or somebody told me like, yo, you got that like thick ass rug under that mat. Like you need to take that out. Like you're not supposed to have that. It makes it easier for the vinyl. You're like, and it was like a game changer. I took that off. I'm like,
now I got this.
Now I'm DJing, So it took me a minute. I was very rough when I first started, but I learned I learned the ins and outs, how to hook everything up, how to unplug stuff.
Yep.
I did it wrong so many times. I knew which outlets, to not go in.
Right.
It was like I became a guru at it almost.
Well, and you loved it. And that was the whole passion of you buying it, then teaching yourself. I love throwing away the manual because I'm the same way. I'm like, I can figure this out. But your career, like you base it, obviously your hometown of Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. When did you start like getting gigs, and how did you start? I mean, because I feel like, you linked up with Sean and Self Diploma, and things kind of blew up in Cincinnati. But how'd you start getting into gigs and bars and clubs?
Crazy enough, so let me rewind a little bit. When I first started DJing out in public was in high school.
Okay.
And the first major event, I believe, was my homecoming. I DJ'd my homecoming. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I was a junior at the time, but I still, I had my turntables, but I was still I wasn't confident yet. So I had like these little like CD player things or whatever that I was using. And then I would hook like one turntable up, and I only had like maybe 7 vinyls. Yeah. So it was like I had more music on a mixed CD than I did a vinyl. You know what I mean? So I was still leaning on like playing CDs and like kind of, and I would have like a makeshift DJ booth covering me, so you really couldn't see what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, like playing CDs. But so then I on some whole geek nerd squad, I figured out that the PlayStation 2, right? PlayStation 2 has had a external sound card in the system, so the music would naturally come out louder. The video games would play louder than like the PlayStation 1. Yeah, because they were trying to upgrade it. Every version of the PlayStation they wanted to make better. So figured that out, and then so I was like, you know what? And this is another idea that I don't know, just came to me through the universe, through some higher calling, was like, yo, I could actually DJ on this PlayStation 2. Like if I, and the way to do that is, I would make a mixtape and I would have all the songs lined up, track 1, track 2, track 3, whatever I wanted it to be. And then I would use the controllers, L1, L2, R1, R2, to switch the songs. Because you can put to be able to put a CD into the PlayStation 2.
I remember having that. Yeah,
you could listen to music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So That's 2 and
awesome.
2, it just kind of zapped into my brain. Like, hold on, if we're quick enough, I could switch a song, or this one song would be ending, and then I could kind of like fade out. And then I could switch it really quickly, and it would kind of like if I did it quick enough, it would be like a nice little blend,
Yeah, that's so awesome. That's so cool.
So when I that party I DJ with the PlayStation 2 was this fraternity party. No, it was like a Mason party. Like the Masons. I don't want to explain this wrong, but it's like this old fraternity. And they're called Masons.
I don't know, not ringing a bell.
I don't know too much about them, but
you were there.
But I was there, and it's a real thing. There's like these like prominent men and these like higher like whatever. But they're called the Masons, and they had this party, and I DJ'd it. And at the time, I was like maybe like 18, 19.
Yeah.
And so all these people kind of like at the end of the I was jamming, and the party was, was popping. People were doing line dances. It was people everywhere dancing on tables.
Yeah.
And like when the lights came on, they see like the PlayStation 2, and they see like my whole setup. And they was like, wait. So good. They was like, wait. So you were back here. This was you. You were doing that? Like you were DJing on the PlayStation 2? So from that, people kind of started talking like, there's this kid, he was DJing with this PlayStation 2. He killed it. And so that like from there, I just, I would DJ more just homies parties, and then I would also, in the midst of doing all that, when I got my first car, I would drive to downtown Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And the nightlife was so popping then. It's popping crazy right now, by the way. Cincinnati nightlife is like ridiculous.
I've enjoyed it a lot. I quit drinking about 4 months ago, but I enjoyed it too much. Yeah.
Okay. That's good though. You start drinking. Congratulations on that.
Thanks, dude.
But no, so I would go down there, and this is when people would love to bring their cars out. So it would just be like a whole strip of cars, you know what I mean? Lifted off the ground, just doves, and it was just crazy. So went down there, and I would just hang out, and I would just talk to the doorman or whoever's at the front door. I would just talk to them and just on some regular conversation, you know what I mean? Not even trying to get in, because I couldn't get in.
Right.
I wasn't 21. So I would just be, just shooting the shit with them. What's going on here? What's the most popping nights?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who's DJing? So, the more I did that, eventually I got into a few bars. Red Cheetah.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of the other spots, but I got in when I was underage.
Let's go.
So
You're
I was
fired up.
You know what I'm saying? I'm in there, and it was like they let me and my homies in. So it was like 3 of us. We had no business being in there. Young as hell, just seeing the nightlife. You know. So that was kind of like my introduction into the nightlife, and then later that's where I would meet Sean, and then we would it would turn into a snowball effect, and from Sean I met Mac and High Tech and everything like that. I don't know if you want me to go through.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean.
But we'll definitely go through. I mean, because and shout out Sean Heron. He is like he is one of the biggest success stories in Cincinnati. I mean, that dude grinds. You're best friends with him. I'm working a lot with him now, and like,
nice.
I remember when that self-diploma, when he started self-diploma, and it was just so cool seeing like a group of dudes from my hometown starting something and like working their ass off, like, selling bar nights, getting people to come out to parties, bringing concerts in. And I mean, you and Sean link up, and I mean, you were grinding, but like you said, that was kind of the snowball effect. And we were talking about this beforehand, and it's really cool. And maybe if I ask Sean if I can show it, I will. But there was a show, or let me explain this better. He found Mac, I guess, on MySpace. Sean found Mac on MySpace. you guys have been working together already, Sean and you, and he booked Mac for a 4-city tour, and you were the DJ that he was assigning to Mac for that tour, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just getting off of a tour with High Tech and Talib Kweli.
Yep.
And so people probably like, whoa, how did you get on? What was that? High Tech and Kweli. But when I did eventually start DJing in clubs in Cincinnati, that's when I met Sean.
Yeah.
And from that we got cool, and he ran a college night down at Club Exclusive.
Yeah. And
then from there they had before it was Self Diploma, it was actually called Loco Bros.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, it was actually that's a super throwback. Like, a lot of people like 4EG and like a lot of those people were in Loco Bros. Like,
that's cool.
Because
that's awesome.
Back in the day, as people say, the promoter game was crazy. Everybody who was promoting was really getting money, and the parties were crazy, and there was really nothing to do. Like team parties, if you were a team promoter, like you probably got paid back in the day, especially in Ohio. I know, because those team clubs used to be packed.
Metropolis.
Oh wow, whoa.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So like, it was Loco Bros, and then it turned into Self Diploma. Eventually, Self Diploma then started booking like new acts that were coming out, kind of like in that blog era. Yep. So like Chip the Ripper, LMFAO, MGK. This is when people were just brewing. They were just starting to get.
And Sean and Self Diploma would bring them to Cincinnati, and if you're not from Cincinnati, the middle of the city on Fountain Square, and there would be thousands of people. Yeah. And he had such a good like way to find them. Like MGK right before he popped. Like you said, Chip the Ripper. I'm trying to think of other ones. Time Flies.
Time Flies.
Like everyone's performed there. Like there's.
I don't know if Wiz came down there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We did a High Tech showcase down there.
Yeah, I remember that.
There were a few people that did, like Drew Hill or somebody. Anyway, I'm sure you can Google everything, but they were called like the summer concert series. Yeah. And so. And then from there, we did the concerts over in Kentucky, where I forgot it was called like the Madison House or something like that. But anyway, we brought in like Wiz over there. We just did a bunch of concerts. Yeah. And then from doing a bunch of concerts, when we finally did a hometown concert with High Tech and Kweli, that's when I was kind of hit with like, yo, would you like to go on tour? And kind of go under High Tech's wing and learn how to go on tour, how to be like a tour DJ. Yeah. I didn't know if there was a difference between tour DJing and regular DJing. So there's a bunch of groundwork that I had put in to actually get to that point. But I wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was the DJ at all of these concerts that we brought these acts in. I was the DJ of the night.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? So I was just grinding it out, and this opportunity kind of came to me, so I went for it.
Yeah, dude, that was so cool. I mean, working with those two, especially High Tech, he's Cincinnati, right?
Of course.
That's what I thought. All right. And that was
his his mom worked with my dad.
Dude, that's such a small world, man.
Yeah,
that's
like we know each other family, like so.
So walk me through that moment but it was 4 shows. Yeah. Where you and Mac Miller started working together, and this is right after, I think Best Day Ever was like that was the only thing out at the time, right? That was like.
No, I think that was like High Life.
Okay.
And maybe Kids was out.
Okay.
Maybe Kids.
But that's still pretty early.
Yeah. High Life, because I remember studying High Life because I hadn't known the music. I had just heard Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza. Yeah. And so I wanted to go back, and I wanted to be like, all right, well, what has he released before this?
Yeah, and so those 4 shows, what do you remember the most about them?
I remember like Tree J like not fucking with me at all. Oh wait, we can
go. Yeah.
Tree, because he was just like I think he was like sick or something, or had like a headache, and I was just like, "Oh, what up, y'all? It's good."
Yeah.
Da, da, da. Natty in the house. You know what I'm saying?
And they're all Pittsburgh dudes.
They're like, "Yo, who?
Yeah.
Like, who is this?" You know. So, and I remember, but it was cool. I remember meeting Will. Shout out to Will Carlson.
Yep.
And he's a super music head, like super, like way, just like underground, B-side stuff, rare, exclusive, like one copy released, he's on it type stuff. You know what I mean? So me and him talked about music, and that was dope. And then it was just cool. I remember like we didn't even rehearse. He would just be like, he would just give me a CD and be like, or no, he would. I was using Serato then. Yeah, I was using Serato then. So he would give me his songs and just be like, "Oh, just play them and just watch me." And then like when I say cut them, just cut them. I'm like, "All right, cool." You know what I mean? So it was just like he would perform and I'd be watching, you know, and he'd be like, "Cut," and I'd be like, "All right." But through the midst of that, I learned, you know, when he would like the song cut and stuff like that. I had just got off the tour with High Tech and Quali, so I had a little skin in the game as far as tour DJs is concerned.
Right.
So I kind of knew how to, you know, cut out certain parts of the song and let him get his lyrics off. You know what I mean?
Crowd work a little bit.
I kind of had a little juice, so that kind of helped me.
Yeah, and just it's so crazy. The early days of you and Mac meeting up, and then you guys tour the world. Obviously, he becomes this huge artist, and you're by his side throughout that whole experience. What was it like? I mean, touring the world, seeing, you know, you, him, the whole crew kind of get to live the dream, man. Bro,
I'm still reflecting on it today.
Yeah.
Like it happened so quick, and it was, it changed my life, man. Like I treat people nicer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can easily now put myself in other people's shoes. Like I'm not afraid of anything. You know, like it just gave me a whole new set of lungs, man.
Yeah.
It gave me a whole new battery about life, like a continuous battery.
And I can tell the way you're speaking that it does hit home. And I could ask you a bunch of crazy tour questions and stories and shows and shit like that. But on the mental health side of things, like one, like it's just, you could see the connection that you and Mac had and that whole crew had, because you guys are boys. 10 years of doing this. If I can ask, like when you lost Mac, what was that moment like? Do you remember that call?
Yeah, I remember the call. So I got a text from a friend, and then I talked to Q, and yeah, man, it was a surreal day because we were about to go on tour.
Yeah.
You know, so it was it was a crazy day. My mind was blank for the whole day. I couldn't even think. You know, my mind was blank and my phone was just blowing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Crazy. And yeah, it was just a wild day. It was just like a gray.
Yeah, it was a blur.
No thoughts. It was just super spacey.
Is it still hard to believe, even though it's been, was it 3?
It's been a while, man. It's been over. He passed away in 18.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't even realize it was that long.
Yeah.
Is it still hard to believe? Like when you, I mean, like we're
absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's even hard for me to like listen to his music for real.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I couldn't listen to his music actually for a while after he passed away. So, you know, it took me some time. And then when I listen to it, when I listen to it, I'm like, I mean, I was really listening to what he was saying before, but now I'm like really listening to what he was saying. A lot of times when you're actually in it, it's hard to really listen to it from the outside looking in. Now I can kind of listen to it as a fan, I've been a fan, but I guess as a outsider looking in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, man, it's definitely very difficult for me still. Like, but therefore, it's more of a celebration for me now. It's more
Right.
of a trying to really just love every minute of it and be happy that I was able to be a part of something that's crazy. Like, y'all just don't know how crazy it really was. Like, if we have like 3 hours, 3 hours, or like if I could just show you my brain and like what I saw, like it's wild.
It was an incredible ride, and obviously like shout out Mac and everyone that was a part of that journey, because
shout out his whole family too.
Yeah.
Miller, his brother, Karen, his mom, his dad.
Yeah.
You know?
He's obviously a special person, special musician, and it was a special time in your life. But like you said, it was very hard to lose Mac, but you do have to pivot, you know, your life. You had a career before then.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, DJing and having your own success, going on tour before that. Moving throughout your career post Mac's tour DJ, was it hard to disconnect? And I know it's one of your best friends, but was it hard to disconnect from being Mac Miller's DJ?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Did it bother you when people just associated you with just that and didn't like appreciate how good of a musician you are on your own?
It took me a while to actually accept it, because I wanted people so much to be like, nah, but look though, I do this, I do that, you know what I mean? I DJ cool parties, I make cool remixes, like, and I actually rap too, you know what I mean? So it was like so many of the times, even when I would like release a song, the headline would be like Mac, you know what I mean? And for a minute I was such in my ego. It was me. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be myself. So it did mess with me for a minute, because that was like always a shadow. And it wasn't until, you know, I just got older and I just went through more of my life that I was able to actually accept it. Like, yo, this is actually a part of your life forever. You know, and this is actually something that people can connect with you all across the world through this. You know, this is a lot more beautiful than you actually looking at. Yeah. You know, see the two little people on my shoulder, they fight every day. They go through battles every day. Yeah. So I really sat with it for a while, and like I loved it before. It never bothered me. Right. The only thing that bothered me, the only thing that kind of ruffled my feathers was like people didn't pay attention to like the Clockwork DJ as far as the artist. So I was just more so wanting people to be like, nah, but just like check this out. Yeah. And then like, but we'll get back to this. But like for now, like let's just check this out. You know? But yeah, it just took reflection. It just took me to reflect and to go through more shit and to like read and to grow, to be like, man, this is actually beautiful, dog. Like I have a conversation with myself. Well, I'm sure you had to go through depression with Mac's passing, with your career changing, with the stuff we just talked about, trying to figure out how to accept how people view you, how you view yourself. How did you make sure that you weren't in such a deep low forever after all of that? And even when I was on tour, I had family members pass. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was dealing with a lot of death while I was on tour. I lost my grandmother. I lost my uncle. I lost a few people while I was on tour. So music saved you. Music saved my life. Like music and my soul. I got a spark that's in me. Yeah. God has anointed me, you know, so there's something in me that won't let me go all the way there. I've been there before. I've hit rock bottom, but like something that's just brewing in me is just there. There's an energy that just makes me want to try again, make me not want to give up. Right. So that's kind of what I go through, or what I do. And I also read. Yeah. You know what I mean? I listen to music that, you know, I listen to depressing music, you know what I mean, when I'm depressed because it does make me feel like somebody else went through that.
Right.
Somebody else cared.
It's relatable.
You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, I'm not the only person that actually dealt with that. Then when they say some lyrics that actually pertain to something you go through, you're like, oh my God, bro.
Right.
It's hitting a nail in the coffin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, Sade, shout out to Sade. I love you to death. She saved my life in many occasions. Her music completely like heals me. Jay Dilla, his music heals me. Like this is soul healing, like literally heals my soul.
Yeah.
Erykah Badu. There's a bunch of artists. So I go into that. And even this might even sound, you know, a little morbid, but I spend alone time too. I be by myself, you know, spending time with myself, talking to myself, figuring it out, you know?
Yeah, no, it's super, it's super powerful to hear you talk about that and figure out how to best take care of yourself. I'm gonna be completely honest, people watching on YouTube, we're about to lose the 2 side cameras, but fuck it. We're gonna keep going on the main one because I just can't rush this conversation. Your purpose, like recent years, it seems like you like everyone, you get older, you get more mature, more thoughtful. You're teaching. I think that is one of the coolest things because like people might think of you as a club DJ or max DJ or just a musician and like, I don't know, maybe you're like a big party or you're just making music all the time.
Word.
But to like give back to the next generation of kids who want to be artists, why is that something that was important for you?
I'm also teaching adults as well.
Yeah.
By the way.
Okay.
So if there's anybody out there that wants to learn, let me know, please. But serious about learning. But no, I was I had to figure out how to shift, how to maneuver.
Right.
After everything happened, you know, there was really, I had a few things, you know, I had never put all my eggs in one basket. So I had a few things brewing, but I mean, that was my boy, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like this is my friend. This is like really fucked up,
right?
You know? So, I was trying to figure out what my next move was. And, I had one of my homegirls, shout out to Siobhan. I had went out and I had seen her, and a long, long time ago, I remember she worked for this nonprofit, and I think I might have shadowed her. I might have came in. Oh, I know what I did. She worked at this nonprofit, and the nonprofit is like a different name now. They were called Urban Arts.
Okay.
Urban Arts.
That's a great name.
Yeah, Urban Arts was the name of the nonprofit, but it might still be Urban Arts, but they do something different now. Anyway, and I went and I spoke to the kids. That's what it was. She wanted me to come up and be a guest speaker, and I spoke, and this was like one of the first times I kind of like, first times I spoke to a group of kids, first of all, about who I am.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that like a younger generation, they recognized who I was.
Yeah.
And so when I went into the room and I spoke, a few of the kids knew who I was, and it kind of freaked me out because I'm like, wait, this is the next generation.
Right, it's in the same, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, I've seen you in videos before, you know, da-da-da. And so that kind of just gave me like this natural high, man.
Yeah.
And I remember I left and I called my brother and I was just like, man, I think I might know what I want to do next. I think I want to like teach, you know, I want to teach music, or I want to teach kids how to DJ, you know, I want to do something with this. And so, mind you, I went and spoke to Siobhan's kids maybe a year and a half prior. I go out again after Mac's passing, every year or so went by.
Yeah.
And I see her again. And she's like, you know, you should, and we had like this whole little conversation. And she's like, you know what? You should come teach DJing. You know, you should come. I have this after school program. I think you'll be perfect for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm super down. And she like, you know what? Everybody always says that. Nobody ever comes. Like, you're not serious. I'm like, no, I'm dead ass, dead serious.
Yeah.
Next day I came and like, She pretty much explained everything to me. This is how the program works. You would be like a teaching artist. So that's the title of it.
Right.
As a teaching artist.
That's cool. I like that.
And so they what this nonprofit does is they partner with schools like in New York, and they put art programs to the schools, tech programs, music programs. So they have a program where they teach kids how to build apps. They had a program where kids were doing like all type of crazy artwork. And then they had a music program. And they had like DJing. They had a little studio where kids can go after school and record, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Music if they wanted to.
Right.
So that's how I started in schools DJing.
That's amazing.
From that.
That's so cool. And you're still, we're in your workspace here in Brooklyn, and you were like getting done teaching. Yeah.
I like on this board, I can't see it all, but I had a student, this is an adult.
Yeah.
And I was teaching them, the basic, the 101, the beat counts, how many beats are in one bar.
16?
And it's 4 beats in one bar.
Why do I think 16 was
It's 16 bars in one verse.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. see,
I'm learning.
It's everybody
Dr. Clock.
You know what I mean?
Professor Clock.
This is the mathematics. See, people don't know the math. There's mathematics when it comes to DJing. It's not all just fun.
I was never good at math, so that makes sense.
But it's like basic arithmetic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like 2 + 2 type even numbers.
That's so cool to see you get into teaching, because like I've started to, talk to different. I don't teach, but I started to go and do like guest lecturing at different colleges, or like they have me in as a guest speaker for something with mental health or podcasting, sportscasting.
That's nice.
Note for everyone watching: don't do what I did. And I'm running around crazy in New York City, and I saw both these cameras just go out. So we're on this one. If you're watching on YouTube, sorry. Hopefully you enjoy the conversation.
No, but you're hustling, dude. I mean, you're doing everything.
Yeah.
You really. This guy showed up. He's showed up with a 70-pound bag. He's unloading.
There's not enough memory cards.
He's unloading everything himself. He's hooking up everything himself. He's doing everything himself. I mean, that's commendable.
Thank you. It's this camera, by the way.
It's this camera. Oh,
yeah.
My bad. I'm over here looking.
This one's dead. Remember?
That was dead.
Because I can't remember the memory card.
So he's doing everything himself. So I mean, somebody keep hustling, because the thing that a lot of people don't understand is you always want to tell your story. You don't want to sound thirsty or sound like you're begging, but you always just, when you talk to people and they ask you, what have you been up to? Or what are you doing? Or what's going on with you? You don't have to sound all, sad and whatever, but tell your story. Tell what's going on with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I first moved to New York, I was like, yo, I need somewhere to live. Everybody that I talk to, in the conversation, I'd be like, yo, by the way, if you know anybody that has, something available for rent, I'm looking. You know what I mean? And out of one of those conversations, I actually found something.
Right.
So I'm just using that as an example. It can literally be anything.
Yeah.
But even if you're going through something, this is a mental health podcast. If you're going through something, just find a way to just not all hold it in.
Yeah.
And just know that the more that you share your story, you'd be surprised on what you get back if you continue to share. And that'd be the problem with humans sometimes. We don't like to share.
Right.
And, that's why we are where we're at today. So, but just share with one another.
Right. And don't forget memory cards.
And don't forget memory cards. But then this was a good conversation. So you know.
It is. I just said screw it. Like if people, I enjoy them watching on YouTube still, but a lot of people listen on the podcast apps.
And they're still watching on YouTube right now.
Yeah, I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
I got a cool hat. You got the fro. You got Crocs on. They can see that now. I got the whites. I mean.
Shout out to Anwar with the Croc. I'm giving a bunch of product shout outs, and nobody's paying me for this, so
Well, let's get you paid, all right? The camera can see the Crocs, so it's good on that one.
I don't even care, man. I don't even care.
It is cool to hear you
still rock it.
It is cool to hear you talk about that, because I guess since the other 2 cameras are turned off, even though it's all my operation anyway, it feels like, I don't know, more personal, which is like you talked about me like grinding it out. Like, just to be completely honest, the last 3 or 4 days have been fucking crazy. Like just flying here from Cincinnati and then having 2 or 3 different shoots each day all around New York City, and then Brooklyn and then out and Rye getting somebody like an hour away riding the train. I've been up
That's
since.
how you got to do it, man.
Been up since I think 4:30 this morning.
That's how you got to do it.
It's how it works.
Because everybody wants to get paid. So,
yeah,
you can probably have a few interns or a few people that help you, but eventually people are going to get paid. And at the end of the day, the fact that you're doing it all yourself is now that when you have a team and you have people around you, you'll know exactly what you want.
It's like when you got that first turntable.
Exactly.
And you had to figure it out yourself.
Exactly.
And eventually you grow.
Exactly. So,
I just thought that was a cool way to put it.
You're doing your thing. Keep it up.
Appreciate it, man. I'm so glad you came on. I'll open the floor just real quick. Is there anything else you want to touch on before I ask my final question? Because it's the same every episode. But is there anything else mental health wise or that you want people to know about your story?
Just know that, I've been through a lot, and I just like a lot of other people in the world, and through everything, I continue to push through the static. Mm-hmm. So if I can give anybody any advice or take anything from me, in the lowest of lowest that you in right now, or the highest of highest that you in, because even when you're in the highest of highest, you're dealing with some static. You're probably dealing with more static when you're in the highest of highest.
Right.
So just push through it, because it can be done. It's really not the end of the world.
Yeah.
As much as we think it is.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, they used to say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But I would waste my mind for my gut. I trust my gut over my brain any day.
Yeah.
Because my brain has told me to do some stupid things. You know what I mean? And later I think about it like, you know what? My gut told me not to go down that street.
Yep.
But my brain said, oh, well, maybe we might see somebody we know. Da, 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 da. So I would just continue to go with your gut and fight through the static, because, like I said, it's really not the end of the day as much as we think it is. So just keep fighting. And if you can, just think about the next day. Just think about how the next day is like a clean slate. Mm-hmm. Even though some of the stuff does follow you to the next day, whatever, but it's a new day. You get rest, wake up fresh, just try it again. You know what I mean? If you got to do it, one of my favorite games in the world right now is Elden Ring. And I've been playing Elden Ring for a minute, and you die at least 10,000, if not a million. This is the game you die the most, but the more you die, the better you get. And then the more you die, the more you actually want to continue to keep getting further in the game, because you're like, all right, I know the next level is going to be harder than this one because I died a million. You know what I mean? So keep going. Just keep, if anything, just think about, you know what? I'm going to go to sleep tonight, and then tomorrow's going to be a new day.
I love that message. So, you know what my last question was?
Yes. I know it's harder to do. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But practice makes perfect. So if you can practice it, and just, even if you have you're going grocery shopping tomorrow, just think of that as being something positive and something cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
No. Well, you stole my last question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because the last question is always advice, and usually it goes with career, but you already gave part one, because I was going to ask you both about mental health advice and career advice. But think about it this way now, where there's a kid in your hometown of Cincinnati, or a kid in Mac's hometown of Pittsburgh that, I don't know, working at Kings Island, working at Hershey Park, working wherever, chicken fingers, Dippin' Dot stand, trying to save up $500-600, probably $800 now, because everything's gone up.
1,000, 2,000.
Yeah, crazy.
They probably don't even make what I bought anymore.
Yeah. but they have that passion of music in them, and they want to go buy, maybe a MacBook, turntable, and get started at that young age of 14, 15, 16. What advice would you tell that kid?
Go for it and save your money. Make a sacrifice, whatever you're buying right now, 14 and 15. To stop buying. If you want to buy equipment, if you're serious about it, this is a conversation for people that seriously want to do it. Just make a sacrifice and don't buy anything. You're probably living at home with your parents anyway, so you don't really need to spend money on food, any miscellaneous things, but really be serious about it.
Yep.
Because at that age, that is the beginning of your foundation, and your foundation got to be strong for the house to stand. So if you're not serious in the beginning, then throughout your career, you're always going to half-ass it.
Yep.
You're not going to be serious about it. For me, when I bought mine, I knew exactly what I wanted. I looked it up. I knew how much it cost. You know what I mean? I saved up that money. Yeah, I saved up that money. As soon as I got that check and it cleared in my bank account, I went straight to Guitar Center or Radio Shack or whatever was open then, and I bought that set of turntables. Now, I didn't immediately open them up and play with them, but I bought them and I had them and I knew what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And from the get-go, be serious about it.
Yeah.
And if there's really something that you want to do and you have a job and you can say you can buy the equipment or whatever, you just have to save up the money, do it. Because that's literally putting the layers down for your house.
Yep.
And then you just build off that foundation. And then on top of that, man, you know how proud I was of myself when I bought them turntables?
Oh, it had to be cool as shit.
What? I came into that house with like a big box. You know what I mean? I was so excited about having those turntables.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think now that I'm talking about it, I think part of me was like afraid to actually open them up and like mess with them. That's probably why it took me so long.
Right.
Because I was like intimidated. But yeah, like just go for it and be serious.
Yeah, no,
that's all I'm saying.
I couldn't agree more. And my want to be a sports reporter started at like 13, 14, and so, or 12 maybe, like taking this TV with a camcorder or a VCR built in, a camcorder and a microphone to like a 7th grade football game.
See?
It's how that shit starts. So like my
you
advice
was already already on that. You knew exactly what you wanted to do almost.
Yeah.
Or you knew in a certain form.
And you know what was nice about back then? There wasn't memory cards. It was all on VHS.
Wow.
So I'm gonna keep riding that.
But you had that drive though. You know what I'm saying?
No,
from a
I
young
did.
age.
I just for everyone watching, I'm mad at myself that I messed up and first time. But hey, 20 episodes in, 25 episodes in, it's gonna happen.
That's how you learn. The biggest mistakes we make be the biggest lessons.
Yes, sir. All right, Clock, man. I'm so happy we got to do this. Cincinnati, one of Cincinnati's finest. Appreciate it, man.
You already know. And shout out to Cincinnati. Shout out to Ohio. Thank y'all very much.
Yeah.
Shout out to my parents.
Love them. We'll see everybody back here next week on The Mental Game. And I can't thank Clock enough for giving me some of his time. We shot that episode about 2 months ago up in Brooklyn. And as you just heard, that was an amazing conversation talking about his career, Mac's career, their friendship, his mental health, and now what Clock is doing to help the next generation of musicians. So once again, big thanks to Clockwork for coming on The Mental Game. Next week is another surprise guest, but your one hint, it is a fitness influencer. That is your one hint. And we'll see everybody right back here next week on The Mental Game.